Okay, so I did read. I'm trying to knock out this reading as fast as I can. You know, I had a little cold last week. I called it the flu. But I'm better now. It's just that I need to lubricate drinking plenty of aloe vera juice, water, whatever it's called, just to keep my voice from not sounding all crackly. Anyways, I was uploading the second redemption manual that I read, and it took 24 hours to upload on YouTube. I'm just saying. So let me, I don't know, share the screen so you can see what's going on. Some people have asked me, how do you make a YouTube video? So I have Zoom. What I do first is get Zoom, and then I turn it on and record. And you do have to have YouTube set up. So I guess if you want to get a YouTube account, get a YouTube account and set that up. I'm trying to think of how you do it exactly, but I just wanted to show you what's happening. See, this is the one that I read yesterday. It says The Matrix on it. And I went ahead and read another thing that was from another group. Hated it what I was reading, so I sound so sarcastic when I'm reading it. It's like I only wanted to read half of it. I just couldn't stand it. It was just lies. I couldn't deal. So I'm going to go ahead and post it. I'm going to do it unlisted because I don't really want that information put out there because it's just a bunch of hogwash. It really is. It's lies. So I don't want to put out there. I have integrity, you know. I want to know the truth. I don't want to be bamboozled and sleight-handed and all that jazz. I don't like that kind of stuff. When I can see a little bit of trickery and manipulation, that just makes me so mad. Anyways, so I do want to read the other one. I want to read, but I just wanted to show you, for those of you who don't realize how long it takes sometimes for the video to upload. And then you got to have internet, you know, so don't get your internet cut off in between. As in, like, you know, that's going to take a little bit extra time too. So do those money orders, send them to the CFO. Make sure you have your proof of service and all that good stuff to do your, what do they call it? Tendering of payment for the person, you know, for the US citizen bills. Anyways, yeah, so this is what this is still uploading, and right here it keeps saying 23 minutes, but it's been 24 hours, so get real. So I'm doing another one somewhere around here. I am doing another one. We'll see which one goes first, and then I'll just have to delete it. I'll know because this is the first one I did. It says The Matrix, that from the movie The Matrix, and the one that I'm doing as a backup, I didn't put that. I forgot. But anyways, let's try to figure out where this stuff is. So, you know, we want to read this redemption manual. I gotta see where I put it. That's another thing, is you really gotta be organized where you put your stuff. Because, oh, if you don't put it in the right stuff, then you can't find it, you know, when you need it. Okay, let me look up here. Where did I put it? I don't know. I don't want to get rid of these windows because I still have to put those up there. But maybe I'll have to go in the Finder. Yeah, I'll have to go in the Finder. Okay, so. And I do want to finish the book of Maccabees too. I need to find the redemption manual. And it was on WordPress. Oh, I don't think that's it right there. Yeah, Darn it. I gotta remember where I put it. Maybe it's hidden with these screens. You gotta move all these little screens. Where did I put it? Don't see it there. I'm moving my little head. Oh, here it is. Bah! It's right there. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do this now. So this is where we left off. This is the third reading, okay? We were talking about the Matrix movie. So this is where we left off on page 38, where it says Neo finally gets the information from the key maker so that he can reach the mainframe computer to shut it down and save this world. When he arrives at the room outside the mainframe shutoff switch, he meets another character in the Matrix called the Architect. It sounds so Freemason when I hear these words. The third quotation from the second movie follows between the Architect and Neo. It is the most revealing of all the discussions. Well, let's just find out how revealing it is, shall we? Hello, okay, Architect. Hello, Neo. Neo, who are you? Architect. I am the Architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you. You have many questions. And though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some you will not. Accordingly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, it is also the most irrelevant. Neo, why am I here? Notice how Neo has learned to ask the important why questions now. Oh, why am I here in this courtroom? How did I get here? Architect, your life is the sum of a remainder, oh my gosh, of an unbalanced equation inherent in the programming of the Matrix. So your life is the sum, the total amount, of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent in the programming of the Matrix, okay? That's bizarre. I'm just saying, if somebody ever said that to me, you are the sum of the whole, or whatever. That sounds very Christian Science stuff. You are the eventuality of an anomaly. I've been called that by my own daughter once, an anomaly, which in spite of my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected, and thus not beyond a measure of control, which has led you inexorably here. Inexorably here. Inexorably here. I don't really know what that word means. Inexorably. Put it in the comments. Oh, by the way, like, please, and subscribe. Thank you. Not that it means anything, but I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe, you know, Chinese something, it means something somewhere. The Matrix, like any military de facto government predicated on some continuous warfare, needs to have a protagonist and an antagonist to survive. Example, there needs to be enemies in the Matrix system, and Neo was one of the enemies set up in the system along with other inhabitants of Zion to structure the system to make it possible to have continuous warfare so the system works in its de facto capacity. Oh, like don't let an emergency go to waste. I get you. His rebellion is a programming anomaly. It's like one of a kind. In other words, it does not appear to be the norm established for the bulk of the system. Do you ever feel like that? Like you're not the norm? Hallelujah. Woo. I'm glad not to be the norm. I'm just saying. Yeah. But his rebellion is not outside the ultimate control of the matrix master programming. Why this is necessary to the de facto structure of the current matrix design, it seems to escape the master designer as to why a de jure system would not suffice. So de facto is acting as if they are the ones, and the de jure is the real ones, like the prince and the pauper, you know, when they switch places. One is pretending like he is the king, but he's not. And the de jure, he decided to be a pauper. Remember that? King, prince, and the pauper. Notice also that the architect uses sophisticated Greek-style rhetoric to attempt to confuse Neo, and intimidate him so that the architect will not have to answer Neo's questions. Or question. Neo, you have not answered my question. Wow, that's very assertive of you. I love that. I'll have to remember that one. You've not answered my question. Architect, quite right. Interesting. That was quicker than the others. Neo, others? How many? Architect, the matrix is older. The matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly, one rebellion in history, to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the 6th version. Interesting. Neo, 2 possible explanations. Why has no one told me, or no one knows? Architect, precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations. The architect is telling Neo that the fact that there is a matrix world with people locked into permanent slavery and warehoused in the matrix, and a world with people of Zion in a sense of freedom living below the land is planned or systemic. They exist together in a form of uneasy harmony. Neo, choice. The problem is choice. Again, Neo has not learned that choice does not hold the answer. You are either a creditor by cause, effect, or else you are a debtor. Architect, the first matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. In parentheses, it says Garden of Eden, question mark. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime, in triumph, equaled only by its monumental failure. The inevitability of its doom is apparent to me now as a consequence of its imperfection inherent in every human being. And in brackets, the desire to be in control of one's life for gain or commerce instead of for service. Let's read that again, because this applies to us. The desire to be in control of one's life for gain or commerce instead of for service. That's cool. That's deep. That's deep, man. I mean, come on. Are you like here because you want to be in control of your life for commerce and gain and make a lot of money and this and that? Or are you here like for service? To serve, you know, the creator at your service. This creates an ongoing warfare that brings the fall of government from a republic to a democracy. Republic to a demo crazy, a military controlled warfare. Oh yeah, that's like the Hegelian dialectic where you got the good cop and the bad cop. You got to create the chaos and then get a reaction and then come up with a solution which you already had. And so I redesigned it based on your history to more accurately reflect the very and grotesque queries, grotesque queries, grotesque queries, grotesque queries. Gosh, I can't say that word. Grotesque queries of your nature. However, I was again frustrated by failure. I have since come to understand that the answer eluded me because it required a lesser mind, or perhaps a mindless bound by the parameters of perfection. In brackets, it says, a mind that does not assume good in men, but rather assumes evil in men. A mind that does not look for peace, but one that looks for continual warfare. So I guess those are the explanations of the author. You know, he puts them in brackets. He's making a commentary on the script from the Matrix. Then the answer was stumbled upon by another, an intuitive program, initially created to investigate certain aspects of the human psyche. If I am the father of the Matrix, she would undoubtedly be its mother. Neo, the Oracle? The Oracle. Architect, please. As I was saying, she stumbled upon a solution whereby nearly 99% of all subjects accepted the program. In brackets, it says control. And I'm saying in brackets to let the listener who's not reading, because they might be driving their truck or something, know that the author is interpreting what was just said in brackets. As long as they were given a choice, even if they were only aware of the choice at the unconscious level. And then here's brackets again. Example, an opportunity to presume they could elect or vote or choose in an action. Sounds like the voting system. Yeah, here's all these people you can vote for. You get chocolate and vanilla. Which one do you want? You only get 2 choices. I want 50. You only get 2. While this answer functioned, it was obviously fundamentally flawed. Here's the brackets. What about the 1% of the subjects who did not receive the programming? Unbracketed. Thus creating the otherwise contradictory systemic anomaly that, if left unchecked, might threaten the system itself. Ergo, those that refuse the program, brackets, apparent control, unbracket, while a minority, if unchecked, would constitute an escalating probability of disaster, brackets, a rebellion that would destroy the ultimate control of the matrix by the machines, unbracket, end bracket rather. Neon, this is about Zion. Architect, you are here because Zion is about to be destroyed. Whoa. Brackets. Zion is the people who have come out of the matrix, but they have not left commerce. Whoa. No, they still are not about service. They just want to be in control of their own lives for personal gain and profit. They call this control choice, but choice is not control because they have not gotten back to the natural law that says if one chooses to fight his brother, he cannot live in freedom and liberty, end bracket. It's bracket, Zion's, end bracket. Every living inhabitant terminated, its entire existence eradicated. Neon, bullshit. Bracket, non-acceptance of the information presented to Neo by draft from the architect. This is another dishonor, end bracket. Architect, denial is the most predictable of all human responses, but rest assured, this will be the 6th time we have destroyed it. and we have become exceedingly efficient at it. Bracket. Note, in the book of Daniel, there is a discussion about a dream that Nebuchadnezzar, that's King Nebuchadnezzar, by the way, not the ship, is having involving a beast. The beast represents empires established on earth. In one of the dreams, there were 6 worldly empires represented, some that were, some that are, and some that will be. Since these empires are time dependent, they are commercial empires. The 6 empires represent Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, the Medes and Persians, Greece, and Rome. Each new empire was established and overthrown in history in order to perfect commerce. Each succeeding empire became more efficient in its quest for commercial profits, earnings, taxation, and control. Slaves overthrew masters, not to serve their brothers, but to themselves become the new masters. It was all about getting more of the choices for themselves, never about serving their brothers. End bracket. Architect. Oh, he's saying it again. The function of the one is now to return to the source, allowing a temporary dissemination of the code you carry, reinserting the prime program. Brackets. Example, we will restart the matrix with a new history and use your DNA to perfect a more perfect or a more intelligent and masterful gene pool for the slaves. After all, better slaves create better profits. It is all about competition when you are in commerce. End bracket. After which you will be required to select from the matrix 23 individuals, 16 females, and 7 males to rebuild Zion. Bracket. Note, 23 is the number of death. Yeah, and I think that's also how many Hebrew letters are in their alphabet too. So the new Zion will be built again upon the premise of dead people and not living people. 7 is masculine perfection. 15 is rest. Is this gematria or something? Where are they getting this from? The new people will restart a new Zion or a new nemesis for the new matrix. See, the programmers of the matrix need to restart an enemy for their system to work to maintain continuous warfare. End bracket. This is still the architect talking. Failure to comply with the process will result in a cataclysmic system, crash killing everyone connected to the matrix, which, coupled with the extermination of Zion, will ultimately result in the extinction of the entire human race. Neo, you won't let it happen. You can't. You need human beings to survive. Bracket. Again, Neo is fighting the system as though there is a choice that will save the day. This dishonor only shows that Neo still does not understand the why. End bracket. Architect. There are levels of survival we are prepared to accept. However, the relevant issue is whether or not you are ready to accept responsibility for the death of every human being in this world. Bracket. Note how Neo is the creditor with the capacity to maintain or destroy the whole world. This power does not rest in the hands of those who control the matrix. They are honorable. End bracket. What does that mean? Neo is the creditor with the capacity to maintain or destroy the whole world. This power does not rest in the hands of those who control the matrix. They are honorable. 'Tis interesting in reading your reactions, bracket, seeing the expression on Neo's face, end bracket. Your 5 predecessors were by design based on a similar predication, a contingent affirmation that was meant to create a profound attachment to the rest of your species, facilitating the function of the one. While the others experience this in a very general way, your experience is far more specific vis-a-vis love. Bracket, love is an emotion that, when properly invoked, results in serving mankind and not in commercial actions that are warlike in killing your brother, such as Cain's actions in Genesis 4. So the architect is noting that Neo's rebellion or protest is significantly oriented on a different plane than the rebellion or protest of the previous 6 empires. This is an omen of things to come and possibly resolving the war in the 3rd Matrix movie, in bracket. Neo. Trinity? Architect. Apropos, she entered the Matrix to save your life at the cost of her own. Bracket, Neo had gotten Trinity to promise not to enter the Matrix. It was too dangerous for her, according to a dream where Neo had prophesied the possible death of Trinity if she entered the Matrix. Trinity chose to enter the Matrix when she had knowledge that Neo's and Morpheus's lives were in danger. End bracket. Neo, no. Architect, which brings me at last to the moment of truth, where the fundamental flaw is ultimately expressed and the anomaly revealed as both beginning and end. Bracket, the 1% who appear not to be in control by the Matrix are really in control of the Matrix and carry out the process of killing the old system to restart the new system. As the Who, the band, sang, out with the old boss, in with the new. Same as the old boss. Yeah, the Who is a band, not to be confused with nowadays the World Health Organization. The Zion people are given only choice, and this choice does not give them the capacity to do anything which would ultimately destroy the Matrix, end bracket. This is still the architect speaking. There are 2 doors. Door number 1 and door number 2. The door to your right, private world, that was in bracket, by the way, leads to the source and the salvation of Zion, bracket, where the Matrix mainframe computer can be shut down, end bracket. The door to your left, bracket, public world, end bracket, leads back to the Matrix, to her, bracket, Trinity, end bracket, and to the end of your species, bracket, where Zion will be defeated by the machines, end bracket. As you adequately put it, the problem is choice. But we already know what you're going to do, don't we? Already I can see the chain of reaction, the chemical precursors that signal the onset of an emotion designed specifically to overwhelm logic and reason. An emotion that is already blinding you from the simple and obvious truth. She is going to die, bracket. But the architect has already admitted he is fallible. He has been wrong in the past, end bracket. And there is nothing you can do to stop it. Hope? It is the quintessential human delusion. Simultaneously, the source of your greatest strength and your greatest weakness. Neo, if I live, you should hope that we will not meet again. Architect, we won't. Bracket, Neo leaves by the left door back into the Matrix to attempt to save Trinity from her certain death, end bracket. Neo has no other choice but to go back into the Matrix through the left door, or the door that represents the public interest. A remedy in the private world without a corresponding remedy to witness it in the public world is not a closed remedy at all. Wait, let me read that part again. Because we're talking about remedy here, you know, redemption, remedy. A remedy in the private world without a corresponding remedy to witness it in the public world is not a closed remedy at all. Neo was forced to leave by the public door to resolve that problem by private capacity. I don't really understand that. If Neo would have first shut down the computer by going into the private right door, he would have lost Trinity, his love, forever. It takes a double witness to resolve all charges or claims. Merely resolving the charge or claim on the private side without a public witness is not a victory. It takes two or more witnesses to prove a thing. One witness is on the public side. One witness is on the private side. Patriots that try to resolve an issue by private administrative procedure without getting a public witness to the same thing have not closed the accounts. Oh, interesting. Since everything is backwards in the public world, Hollywood is the true church today, telling us the truth backwards. That was in brackets, by the way, backwards. Their movies are the sermons being taught for all to hear and see. If they have woken up or awoken up from the Matrix 2 movie is telling us that we need to learn the why, and we must not destroy the Matrix until it's time. The programs, bracket, officials in this world, government, unbracket, or end bracket, are there to tell us the truth and help us in our freedom and survival. If we go to war against them, we might not survive. Oh. Isn't the one world government today tracking terrorists? Aren't terrorists another name for those who fight the leaders of the Matrix? Go in peace, my brothers. All right, we're on page 43. So here's a movie review. The third movie of the trilogy, Matrix Revolutions. That's cool. Revolutions. I was going to name my hair salon that because it's a curly hair salon. Revolutions. Get it? But then someone was thinking, yeah, you should put a big fist. That could be your logo. No. By Jack Smith. Note, words in brackets are those of Robert Kelly, the American's Bulletin. The movie series on the Matrix is a backward history of the United States. Wow. That's amazing. And a history of true Israel. This is in parentheses. Not the de facto democracy in the Middle East. You guys understand that? They're saying a history of true Israel. They're not talking about the nation state of Israel that's the de facto democracy in the Middle East. Over there, you know, where President Trump made Israel, or was it Jerusalem, the capital? Like over there, that's considered the de facto. It's kind of like the United States, like Washington, D.C., or like London, or like the Vatican in a way. It's the de facto. It's not like real people. It's not the true Israel. It's a corporation, de facto. It's acting like it's in the place of the real thing, but it's not. Matrix Revolution ends with the proposed Constitution of the United States of America in 1787. Matrix, the first movie, begins in present times. The story is a cycle of history repeated over and over again by a people who do not get it right. Oh, that's interesting. Didn't know that. All communication is based upon symbolism. Every war is won by communication. If you are not enjoying the war, here's a parenthesis, everyday life in a democracy, end parenthesis, you are not understanding or getting the code and are not receiving the true message sent in everyday communications by code. Let me read that again. All communication is based upon symbolism. Every war is won by communication. If you are not enjoying the war, meaning everyday life in a democracy, yeah, that's true, in a mob rule, then you are not understanding or getting the code and are not receiving the true message sent in everyday communications by code. So this is saying, if we're not enjoying the war, is that like, you know, when I was in the military and you're like exercising like till you're gonna die, and they're like making us say, we like it, we love it, we want more of it. And if we didn't say that, then they're gonna give us more. So we're up to his mercy to just pretend like we're and I'm just thinking in my head, okay, this is making me strong. This is exercising my muscles. This is making me strong. This is good. This is good for me. I'm working out. Yeah. But I was 17 and this was all before all the exercise stuff was popular because I'm like half a century old and over. But anyways, I digress. There is a war going on out there. There has always been a war going on out there. The object of war is to restore honor to commercial dealings between foreign entities, so there can be a lasting peace. That's weird. I don't like what they just said just there. But where there is no honor, there can be no peace. I really don't like this ideology, to tell you the truth. They're like, if you don't have war, then you can't have peace. That's weird. I don't like that. Anyways, I digress again. The Matrix, in the movie The Matrix 1, Neo learned that there was a secret war going on between the machine world of the Matrix and a number of people who call themselves Zion, who believed themselves to be separate and apart from the machine world of the Matrix. The Matrix was a system that warehoused living beings in a coma-like state. It harvested their thermal, chemical, and biological energy to supply power to run the machine world. The living beings in the Matrix were fed neurological impulses to their brains that gave these beings the simulation of a normal life of a living man. By these computer-generated memories, these living beings perceived themselves to exist in a life involving family, neighborhoods, nations, work environments, and personal relationships. At no time did the living beings in the coma-like state have a clue that they were not leading a real life of choice. The people of Zion, however, believed that they had been disconnected from the Matrix. They dwelled in a city called Zion, buried deep in the core of the earth to protect the inhabitants from the attacks of the machine world of the Matrix. These people of Zion believed that they were free of the control of the Matrix, while understanding that they were at war with the machines from that world. There were a few people of Zion that sprung Neo from the control of the Matrix in the first movie. They believed that Neo might be a living being who would have extraordinary powers to bring freedom and peace to the people of Zion and to those souls in the Matrix still trapped by the machines. Page 44, Matrix Reloaded. In the second movie, The Matrix Reloaded, Neo learns that the fate of the people of Zion is not independent of the persons in the matrix or the machine world that controls the matrix. Okay, let me read that again. In the second movie, The Matrix Reloaded, Neo learns that the fate of the people of Zion is not independent of the persons in the matrix or the machine world that controls the matrix. To the contrary, Neo learns that the controllers of the matrix have dealt with previous rebellions by people who had separated themselves from the matrix, like the people of Zion, and had attempted to defeat the matrix. The current attempt by Neo and the people of Zion to defeat the machines from the matrix is chronicled as the sixth rebellion against the matrix. All previous rebellions had resulted in defeat and annihilation of the people outside the matrix by the machines from the matrix. After defeat, the matrix restarts the outside world, or the so-called enemies of the matrix. The people of Zion are controlled by the controllers of the matrix and allowed only so much latitude at freedom before they are reined in. At the end of the second movie, the machines of the matrix are starting an attack on the people of Zion by burrowing with tunneling machines into the core of the earth to reach the city of Zion with the intent of destroying the people of Zion. Oh, that's what they're doing under Walmart, huh? No, I'm just kidding. The people of Zion are attempting to prepare defenses against the impending machine attack. I was making a joke because apparently underneath all the Walmarts, there's like these big boring tunnels and stuff, and big Mack trucks are able to go underground because there's tunnels under there. It's kind of weird, man. I've seen them. I've seen videos of it. Into this plot of warfare between the people of Zion and the machines of the matrix is tossed a man named Neo. Some believe that Neo is a special soul that might possess the capacity to resolve the conflict between the machine world and mankind by bringing peace. Oh, like the Messiah. Huh? Those who held this belief were a select minority and included Morpheus from the people of Zion and an important computer program named the Oracle from the machine world of the Matrix. In Matrix Reloaded, two important entities from the Matrix, the Architect and the Oracle, had informed Neo that the people of Zion and the Matrix were a symbiotic society where one entity could not exist without the other at the present time. Their futures were indelibly intertwined with each other. They would either go into the future together or there would be no future. Symbolism in communication. All Hollywood movies are parables. Okay. They're shells. They're coverings for something. They describe the current reality in this world and code it in terms of mythical persons, places, events, and things. In scripture, the Messiah also taught about his kingdom, the world in contradistinction to this world in terms of parables. 'Tis true. Once the Messiah was asked why he taught in parables, his response was so that the common man would not know what he was teaching. Well, that's what you're saying. Only the elect would understand, or the special few. Hollywood movies are parables which teach the truth and reality in such a way that the common man will not understand the lessons and the information that is being given. By understanding the scripture or the Hollywood movies, you will understand what is going on in the law of this world, and will begin to understand your remedy to get free of the slavery and tyranny that you have entrapped yourself into. Oh, how have we entrapped ourselves into it? But in the scripture, the Messiah went on to say that the elect will understand the meaning of the parables because for them, they will understand the code and will understand the meaning of the communication and lesson being taught. I humbly beseech you, brethren, those of you who have eyes to see, ears to hear, and are members of the elect to listen up. The story of the parable in the 3 Matrix movies is a plan of salvation and redemption from the ravages of the Matrix wars, or how to resolve your personal problems in this world. Okay. In every parable, it is first reasonable to understand who the characters represent. It is also necessary to understand how the characters' actions have created a cause-effect relationship to the events of the story. As to relationships, the matrix is this world, or an artificial world in contradistinction to the world which is real and a creation of nature and nature's God. The artificial world is de facto, or colorable. You know, it's pretending to be the real deal, the real thing, like Coca-Cola, but it's not. While the real world is de jure, or black and white. Okay. The matrix is the system of Babylonian government, commerce, politics, and military that operates in the background and superimposes itself over the living people to control the energy given off by the living people, presumably for the personal benefit of the powers behind the Babylonian government. The system operates off the commercial energy of the living people who are harnessed by way of alter ego corporations called strawmen. Your all caps name. These strawmen are created by the Babylonian government upon the birth of each living soul and named after the living soul. That's that item sonans. Sounds like my name, but it's spelled differently. The only distinction is that the living soul name is spelled according to the proper English rules in upper and lowercase letters. The strawman corporation names are spelled in all capital letters. Yeah. Like other artificial and dead things like, you know, Costco, Kmart, stuff like that. All commercial enterprise by living souls are performed through their corporate entities or strawmen as frontmen. I get that, the shadow. Since the government has the highest legal title to these strawmen, all commercial activity is presumed to be controlled by Babylon and hence taxed to Babylon. It is by this mechanism that the Babylonian system draws out the commercial energy of every living soul. Therefore, the people tied up in the matrix are representative of the strawmen who politically are known as 14th Amendment persons or fictions created by government to replace living souls in the government political body. That's really good. That's good info right there. I understand that. In a proper world or the world, mankind or living people are in control. This fundamental law is based upon the laws of nature or the law of the land. In this world, the foundational basis for who is in control is the law of the sea or admiralty. It is a system constructed of trusts instead of principles who are acting in their own self-interest. A nation in the world whose laws are based upon the law of the land can be ruled as a republic. Let me read that part again. A nation in the world whose laws are based upon the law of the land can be ruled as a republic. Okay. A nation in this world whose laws are based upon the law of the sea is usually ruled as a democracy. Demon-ocracy. I know about that. The story in the Matrix trilogy deals with a system which progresses from a democracy, a demon-crazy, to a republic, excuse me. This is a mirror image to the history of the United States, which has progressed from a republic in 1787 to a democracy in 2003 when this movie came out. A democracy is also a nation which is led by the military under emergency rules. Hello? Do we have emergency use authorization? Do we have like a world crisis emergency going on right now? Because they say so. Behind a front of civilian rule, right, to confuse the populace as to the true nature of what is happening. In a democracy, the rights and needs of the individual must be subjugated to the needs and wants of the whole. That's not good, you know, because in this demon crazy thing, the rights and needs of the individual must be subjugated, put underneath to the needs and wants of the whole. Like, you all have to get vaccinated, all of you, because it's the better for the whole. So like your own personal, hey, my body, my choice. I don't mean nothing in the democracy, but hey, they're going to use that in the democracy when they want to say, I want to do an abortion, and my body, my choice. Yeah, that's so weird. There is no individual liberty per se. The military, political, commercial system is operated under the Admiralty Maritime rules of contribution and the presumption of joint tortfeasors. In the Matrix trilogy, the lives of the people are not paramount. They have been warehoused in facilities where liberty, freedom, and independent actions are non-existent for the average inhabitant, who does not even understand that his life is an illusion. Hey, right now, people, better wake up. Hello, wakey time. That he is programmed to feed the war machine. Hello. Who's funding all of these vaccines? I'm just saying. Who's investing in all of them? And then they're making us, everybody try to be forced to have them. Oh, you had to volunteer and consent. Or you're going to lose your job. Isn't that coercion? Yeah, it is. But, you know, we're not forcing you. You're just going to like not have a job and no money. I'm just saying. Or no customers. Because you're the bad person that believes that you're immune, like your immune system is like, you know, good. It is good. But those shots, they're going to mess up your immune system. And then you're going to have to be dependent on them. And hello, that's they're trying to put us in this liquid thing. They're trying to put us in the matrix. I digress. Here we go. Back. At the same time, the average inhabitant is mentally deluded into believing his whole life is one of a normal, free, and independent inhabitant of a modern society, exercising free will. This is done by instilling mental unawareness into the being, or else controlled rebellion into others. In modern society, it is done chemically by drugs or alcohol, or it is done commercially by withdrawing the desire or means of successful fulfillment, exporting productive jobs from the society, or it is done politically by providing controlled candidates which offer no change in the makeup of the system, or it is done psychologically by instilling cognitive dissonance into the population. Cognitive dissonance is when you like faced with the truth and you're like, there is no Santa Claus. No, there is a Santa Claus. I believe I've seen him at the store. He's on the corner. I've seen Santa Claus. That's cognitive dissonance when you're faced with there is no Santa Claus. No, that's not true. So then you have cognitive dissonance then. The same thing with the people that believe that we live on a spinning globe. We don't live on a spinning globe, people. That one picture from NASA, the globe, there's only one picture. They keep putting it in front of your face. But when you go on the airplane and you look down, you can see that the ground is down there and sky is up here. You're not on the outside of the circle and you're not going upside down, people. Get out of that heliocentricity, cognitive dissonance, because Earth is dirt. There's no shape to Earth. It's just dirt. Then the sea is around it, and then the sky is up there. 3 distinct, exclusive entities, if you will. Genesis 1, 9, and 10. Okay, I digress. In short, the tools of modern society are used to enslave living souls. Death. As opposed to providing life and providing it more abundantly. Have you been deceived into feeding the war machine? Occasionally, one inhabitant of the matrix breaks free of his programming and sees a larger picture. These people are the ones who take the red pill and are presumably physically independent of the social programming of the matrix. These people have collected together in a society called the People of Zion. Today in the present world, we might call these people patriots. I'm going to stop. This is the top of page 46. Nighty night, peoples.